Should you buy a Neo Geo Pocket Color in 2018? What even is this thing? Well, in 1998, the S&K Corporation, famous for the Neo Geo AES home system and the Neo Geo MVS arcade system, released the Neo Geo Pocket, a monochrome handheld only in Japan. A year later, because it wasn't selling well, they released a color version both in Japan and North America. This is that system. So, is it worth buying? Well, let's go over that in today's video. Welcome to Stuff We Play, home of everything weird and retro, and your source for gaming buying guides, such as this one I did with some friends on the Nintendo 3DS. And if that sounds cool to you, why not subscribe? Today we're talking about the Neo Geo Pocket Color, S&K's forgotten handheld. Well, let's go over that. Beginning with the hardware, let's go over the system itself. There is only one model of Neo Geo Pocket Color. Now, this original model did come in a variety of colors. I got mine kind of this blue camo color, and I really like it. Honestly, they aren't too expensive to come across either. I got mine for a trade for an NES a few years ago, and that was back when NES systems were worth like 20 bucks. It also came with a copy of Sonic Pocket Adventure, a great game, but we're going to be going over that in a bit. The system, I'll admit, has gone up a bit now. You'll see it for about 50 bucks online. And if anyone tries to charge you more than that, I'm sorry, but they're trying to rip you off. Hardware-wise though, it's great, except for the screen. The screen isn't backlit or frontlit, and thus, much like with the original Game Boy, or really any Game Boy up to the original Game Boy Advance, it's best played while standing on the surface of the sun. Seriously, it's impossible to see this thing. But that's made up for by the tight controls. And instead of a D-pad, it has this arcade-style joystick. It clicks whenever you move it around, and I have never used a more satisfying method of movement inside a game. Seriously, I love this thing. So yeah, the hardware is cool and all, but what games are there here? Well, that's what we're about to go over in the next section. The games for the Neo Geo Pocket Color are phenomenal. Now I should mention I had to capture these through an emulator. Unfortunately, there's nothing like a Super Game Boy that you can play Neo Geo Pocket games with. The first game I'd like to talk about is a game that I got with my Neo Geo Pocket Color and the reason why I bought the system to begin with. Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. This is a great game that takes many cues from Sonic 2 and 3. Really and truly, just think of it like Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis, but on a portable system with original bosses. I've done a full review of the game, but to put it shortly, it's fantastic and it's probably one of the best portable Sonic games you can ever play. And like most games for the system, with some exceptions that we'll get to, it's dirt cheap. Being a Neo Geo system, we have to talk about one of my favorite S&K franchises, Metal Slug, and there were two great Metal Slug games on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Metal Slug First Mission and Second Mission. I've unfortunately only played Second Mission, I don't own it, but I do have First Mission, it's great. It's the fast, frantic run-gun action of the arcade titles, but on a handheld. It's not as fast and doesn't have as much on screen as on its arcade counterparts, but it's still a great time. Now what's pretty cool about Neo Geo Pocket Color games is every single one I've bought has actually come with one of these clear cases, which I think came with the boxes when they originally came out, which is cool. And I appreciate that, and I think it's a great way to keep them looking nice. What was weird is, in the US at least, a lot of them either came in cardboard boxes, or even in these blister pack looking things. Ugh. A lot of them actually came in these plastic-like cases with these little latches on the side. These feel great and durable, and they just keep everything together really nicely. I really like these, and it's a shame more games didn't come of them. Oh, by the way, for those wondering, this is Neo Cherry Master. It's slot machines, alright. So with that out of the way, let's go into three titles that I really think are cool, but I don't own. The first off, S&K was known for their fighters. And as S&K Waifu Fighters is coming out for Nintendo Switch later this year, let's talk about the game that I feel like it's a pseudo-sequel to. S&K Gals Fighters for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. All these fighters were two-button fighters, but they're really cool and they all feel really great. I love Gals Fighter. It takes characters from series such as King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown, etc., and puts them in one nice anime-style chibi 2D fighter game. Really solid, really fun. Unfortunately though, I see that average about 60 bucks, in Canada at least. So a bit pricier than most of these games, but still really fun if you can get your hands on it. Another one I've noticed going up in price is S&K's equivalent to Pokemon. Biomotor Unitron. Think Pokemon but with robots. There is dungeons and there are Pokemon-esque battles and you can actually upgrade your little biomotor robot things. It's such a cool game, and I would absolutely love to own it someday, but it is going up in price. But none of these games compare to what I think is the most expensive game for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. There was a Mega Man game, Rockman Battle and Fighters, a port of both of the Mega Man arcade games, Mega Man to Power Battle and Mega Man to Power Fighters. Though it's kind of a condensed port and it does change some things. Honestly, if you want a way to play those, I'd recommend you just get the Mega Man Anniversary Collection for the original Xbox or PlayStation 2. This game I see going for over $100, potentially hundreds of dollars, so I wouldn't base eBay scalpers on pricing. It's a fun game for sure, though it definitely won't last as long as your average Mega Man game, as it's nothing but a bunch of boss fights. But it's really cool, and it's a shame that this wasn't more mass-produced. But not all games are that expensive. A lot of them I still see for $5 to $10. If I were to rebuy any of the games that I own, the most expensive one would probably be Sonic Pocket Adventure, and that's like a $20 game and worth every penny in my opinion. Let's go over some Neo Geo Pocket Color accessories. Now, of course, there are stuff like carrying cases, link cables, even an AC adapter, but there are two I want to go over. One that's official and one that's not. The first is the one that's not official. Now, the screen here is really dark, and I know a lot of you are like, just use an emulator. Okay, well, I'm a game collector, and I'm recommending this to game collectors. And you might want to look into the front light mod. I'm not sure if there's a backlight mod, but I have seen some great examples of Neo Geo Pocket Color front lights. If this is your type of thing, definitely look into that. It'll definitely make it easier to play. I don't know how I'd go about that or who I'd contact, but if you know someone who can do the mod that you trust, definitely look into it because it could definitely improve your gaming experience. The second peripheral though, is one that was made in cooperation with Sega. Before you could hook up your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube and play games like Zelda 4 Swords and whatnot, you could hook up your Neo Geo Pocket Color to your Dreamcast. I believe there is functionality with Sonic Adventure and other games, and I unfortunately don't own that cable to use with my own personal Dreamcast, so I can't tell you more about that other than, hey, it exists, and it's cool. And that's pretty much it. This thing was discontinued only a few years after release. In fact, this system sold so badly overall that many contribute this as one of the reasons why SNK went bankrupt in the early 2000s. But it is a great system, and if you're a game collector and you see one of these for probably around 40 to 60 bucks, definitely go get it. It's a great system and it has such a unique control scheme. It's something that you have to experience. Yes, you can emulate the games and whatnot, and that's dubiously legal, so I'm not sure if I can recommend that or not. It's one of the few game systems I've ever seen where really and truly the control scheme is so unique, yet cool, and feels so great, that I'd recommend that you get it to experience any games you want to try for it. Because it's one of the few times in gaming history where the best way to experience games is how they're originally intended to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed talking about this system today, and I got to do it twice in the same week because I did my review of Sonic Pocket Adventure. Great. So with that, before I ramble on, what are your memories of the Neo Geo Pocket Color if you have any? If not, just let me know your handheld gaming memories in general down in the comment section below. And while you're at, why don't you subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content like this? And if you really want to go the extra mile, why not support us on Patreon? Because every dollar from Patreon goes back into the channel itself. So with that, thank you very much for watching, stay classy, and I'll see you next time.